Hello everyone, welcome back to my AK Coding YouTube channel. Today is the 6th day of learning JavaScript, and today's topic is a very interesting topic. We are going to talk about functions. If you're ready, let's get started. So what are functions? A function is a block of usable code that performs a specific task. So we can reuse the functions with other types of codes. Functions improve the code organization and reusability and readability. So it means we can do more actions on our logical JavaScript. And the advantages of using functions: we can avoid repetition, like writing 2-3 types of multiple times of codes, and also improves readability because it organizes the code into logical blocks, and it's easier to debug, and we can test and we can see some bugs or something or errors on console log. And we have an encapsulation which keeps functionality separate from the rest of the program. So let's see these advantages and how can we use the functions in JavaScript. In JavaScript, we have parameters and return values in functions. So function with parameters means parameters allow functions to accept input values. Here, as you can see, traditional function, which is the simple function in JavaScript, and as you can see, we are writing the keyword which is called function, and we are giving the name for the function. For example, it's add numbers, and inside of our simple brackets there's a and b, and these a and b are called parameters. And inside of curly braces we have code block, and which is returning a and b. And the console log, if we call this function with add numbers and we give the values each of a and b respectively, the return value will be sum up, and we'll be getting 5 and 10 we are writing, and we'll be getting 15 in the output. So this is so simple to understand, and we'll be writing this code also in our Visual Studio Code. Let's go to Visual Studio Code editor, and I'll be writing simple function here. So I have to write with lowercase letters definitely. So let's write function, and we will give, for example, add nums, right, with using camel case, and I will write a and b parameters. I have to separate each. If we have multiple parameters, we have to separate them. So if you do not separate them, it will be error. So to separate, you will have to give a comma. And after the curly braces, instead of our curly braces, we'll be writing return a plus b. And if I run this in our terminal node app.js, we'll not be getting anything. Why? Because we didn't call the add nums function after the function, so we have to call it. So in order to call, we'll be writing console.log, and I'll be writing add nums, and after that, with simple brackets, I have to call it. So now I'm calling, and there is no exact values for a and b, so I need to give a and b respectively the values, which is numbers. Yeah, so I'll give 5 and 10. I will save it, and when we rerun this, we'll be getting the result, which is 15. So this is working simply. So a and b are parameters, as I told, and it returns and sends a result back to the caller. So the caller is this one, yep. And the console log at numbers 5 and 10 passes arguments. So we call these 5 and 10 values calls arguments and the function. So we are calling the arguments 5 and 10. And the key takeaways, so functions can take multiple parameters, so it can be single parameters or multiple parameters. And return the keyword sends a back value. So if I don't write return the keyword, if I remove this, what will happen? Let's run this. We're getting undefined. Because why? We are not returning the values A and B inside of our function, but we're calling. But it doesn't matter if we doesn't return them, we'll be getting the value undefined because it couldn't find. So that we're getting undefined value. So function expressions. So you understand fully about function parameters. So what is function expression? A function can be stored in a variable and used later. So it means you will be writing a function with a variable. So here is an example storing a function in a variable. So we have a constant, as you can see, and it's called multiply. So we are giving a variable, and inside of our variable, we are equalizing the variable, the function with the parameter x and y, and we're multiplying it. So it means we can use this multiply variable in other or so many times. So let's write this function with variable functions. So this is the first type of the function in JavaScript, and the second one is with variables. So I'll write const sum up equals to function, and as you can see, I'm not giving any name to the function because we have already declared the sum up variable and we don't need to give it. If you want, we can. So I'll write A and B, and after that we'll be doing return A plus B, right? And here how we can call, so we have to call the variable name console log sum up 5 and 10, and now we'll be getting the same result as we wrote before. Okay, so this is working without any problem. So the sum up, as you can see, is being a function because we are saving, instead of our sum up, we are saving function, so that we are calling the sum up. So next, so you understand the function expressions and simple functions too. And we have the third type of the function, which is called arrow functions. So which is arrow functions. What is an arrow function actually? It's a shorter way to create or to write functions using the arrow syntax. As you can see, this looks an arrow, right? Like equal sign and greater sign. And it automatically binds this useful in objects and event listeners. So we have objects and event listeners in JavaScript, and it's much beneficial and useful for us to automatically bind them. For example, here's an arrow function syntax. As you can see, we have a const square, which is where we are using function expression. Instead of a function expression, we are not using the keyword of a function. So we'll be using the callback function, which is arrow function we can call. And this is an arrow function we are using with the arrow sign, and we're calculating. As you can see, it's only one line of code. And here we are calling the square arrow with the variable name. So I'm going to tell some benefits of this arrow functions. So it is less code and short and clean syntax, and no binding issues, so it binds automatically. But if we are using other simple traditional functions or function expressions, we have to bind them manually. And implicit return, so as you can see, we're not writing return keyword here, and we're omitting curly braces also, and it auto returns the value, so we don't need the return keyword too in our function. This is much more useful. Yeah, so let's write this down. Okay, I'm going to write here const square arrow, right? And I'm declaring, for example, x, right? And x multiplied by x. Here I'll write 4. So 4 multiplied by 4 is equal to 16. So we're getting the same. As you can see, we're not writing any return keywords, any curly braces we're not using. So this is called arrow function. And I told the benefits of the arrow function, and using functions in programs. So here is a simple problem and we're going to solve this. So it's already solved one. So here, with using the function, we're going to find a factorial of a number. So it means the factorial of a number means like number, which is we are going to first we will be checking if it is equal to 0. It means it returns 1. If it's not, we'll be calculating that factorial number and we are minusing 1. So, and then we'll be getting the factorial of the number. So let's do it. Here I'm going to just comment them and I will be writing simple traditional function. So let's write function factorial, and now we can write, and we will be giving the parameter called num, and inside of our curly braces we will be declaring if num is equal to 0, so return 1, and here return, we'll write return num multiply factorial num minus 1, and we are writing a console log here, definitely not inside, factorial num 5. If I write like this, we'll be getting 120. So how this is working? So functions make complex problems easier to manage, and we can use recursive functions to call themselves to solve problems, and returning values helps reuse computed results elsewhere. So using function in programs, so you can go lead code or any kind of mathematical problems using a function. You can solve it and then you can improve your logical thinking. So here's an assignment and coding challenge to do. Create a function, which it doesn't matter, traditional or arrow function or function expression. Create a function to find the largest of 3 numbers. So you will have one, for example, in your parameters you can declare A, B, C, and or you can declare a variable in the first, for example 1 to 3, I don't know. So, and then you will have to find the largest of these 3 numbers in the console. So I hope you learned something new about functions. If you have any questions, just comment below, and don't forget to share with your friends and hit the subscribe button. Thanks, see you in the next videos.